Good morning. It is currently 9:30 a.m. I've got my two girls having a little picnic outside because I am going to be starting some prep work for my freezer-friendly meals. I wanted to do this over 2 days because a lot of these freezer-friendly meals are based off a nutritious and a collagen-rich chicken bone broth. Now, half of these meals are going to be staying with me, but the other half are going to be going to my best friend who is currently in her 3rd trimester with her first baby. So we are focusing on very nutritious, very gut-friendly, very comforting meals that are going to make her feel better in those first few weeks of postpartum life. Now, this bone broth takes up to 24 hours of simmering on the stove, which is why I wanted to get started on this a day ahead. I'm also going to be roasting the chicken because we're going to be making a chicken soup, but that carcass is also going to go into our bone broth. So those are the 2 things that we're going to do today. And then tomorrow we're going to be doing a big cook day of all those freezer-friendly meals. I found my shearing scissors this time, but it's actually not that much easier than when I use my paper scissors. They must be quite blunt. But we want to butterfly our chicken. It's just going to make it cook a little bit faster because I'm also going to throw this chicken into the oven with some chicken wings and some leftover chicken backbones that I have from previous roast chickens, because that's the part that's going to make your bone broth really collagen rich. And we're going to do a really basic roast chicken with just olive oil, salt and pepper. That is all you need for a good quality roast chicken. This is going to be going into our chicken soup, so I want to keep it quite plain. Any 10? Good girl. And I have this frozen backbone from a previous chicken that I spatchcocked. It goes really great in chicken bone broths. It's gonna make it really collagen rich. This is the stuff that you need in those bone broths. While we have our chicken roasting, I'm going to get started on our lamb marinade because I want the lamb to marinate overnight. It's just going to allow those flavors to really seep into the meat and make it extra delicious. Now, we are using some frozen garlic confit that I prepped in my earlier video. I'm going to pop these into a mortar and pestle, allow them to defrost, and you'll see what a great ingredient they are to always have. I might use 3. And always one for me because I love anchovies. And I also like to add a few capers just for that extra saltiness and brininess. Might as well just finish the jar. That garlic confit hasn't fully melted, so I'm just going to leave this to sit for another 10 to 15 minutes and then we're going to mash it all together into a beautiful paste. And that one is going to go in the fridge overnight and we're going to slow cook it tomorrow. We are taking this one into the garage. For our stock, we are using vegetable scraps, which is a really great zero waste or sustainable way of making stock. Just means that we're using any onion skins, carrot tops, celery stalks, anything that I would have usually put into the compost or into the bin is now going into our stock and it's going to flavor it beautifully. I'm also going to throw in some of the celery that is on its last legs, and I have a frozen chicken carcass from one of our roast chicken dinners. Again, those bones are going to make it really nutrient dense and really collagen heavy. I'm going to give my fresh vegetables a really rough chop. No need to finely dice them when making a stock. I'm not going to use all this celery or it would taste like a celery stock, probably about half of it. I'm going to leave that chicken to cool, and I'm going to pick the meat off the carcass once it has slightly cooled, because that meat is going to be used in our chicken soup tomorrow, and the carcass is going to be used in our chicken broth today. So really great use of all parts of the chicken. Nothing is going to waste. You need a really big stock pot when making a big batch of chicken stock. I've got mine from IKEA. It's a really cheap one, but it holds, I think, about up to 14 or 15 liters, which means we can make a really, really big batch today. On this pan is where all of the flavor lives. So we're gonna try and get every last bit of that brown stuff off, which is actually called the fonds, and that's gonna create such a gorgeous depth of flavor in our stock. You can pour some boiling hot water over, or I just like to get a bench scraper and scrape it off. I don't actually know if I need that chicken carcass today because I've already got 3 chicken carcasses in here. So I might save that one and store it in the freezer for when I make my next batch of chicken stock.
Poo patties, poo patties, poo patties.
Good morning. It is the second day of making all our freezer meals. My daughters are at kinder today, so the house is a little more quiet, a little less chaotic, and I really needed that coffee because I stayed up till midnight trying to finish Game of Thrones. It's the second time I'm watching it, and I have actually forgotten a lot of the plot lines. So we watched the Battle of the Dead last night. It was a wild episode and I'm feeling very tired. But we are going to get through all of these freezer meals today. I've had that chicken stock simmering on the stove all night. It was actually so nice going to bed. It's a miserable day here. It was raining last night, but we had the doors open, we were listening to the rain, and we had the smell of that chicken stock bubbling away. It was just so cozy, so comforting. There's really nothing better than something slow cooking all day long and just filling your house with the best smells. But it is looking so good, and as I said, it's going to be the base to so many of our recipes today, so I'm so glad I made it. It's collagen rich, it's nutrient rich, and it's really gut friendly. It's going to be great for someone who is going into that postpartum life. So I'm going to finish this coffee and we are going to get into it. It's going to be a big day. This smells so good. And I'm going to pour some in a mug to have for breakfast. But first we need to strain it. And look at that gorgeous color. I like to salt my broth when it's all done cooking. Oh, yum. That is so good. I really love a cup of bone broth in the morning. I'm actually so happy today that I won't be prepping carrots, celery, or onions. You know how much I hate cutting onions, because in my previous video I showed you all the little prepping hacks that I do to make my cooking week easier. And one of those is prepping a pre-chopped sofrito. So there's no need for chopping today because my past self has already done it, which I am so grateful for. And it's just gonna make today run so much more smoothly. You have no idea how great it is when you eliminate chopping from your cooking. It makes things so much easier, so much quicker, so much smoother. I don't like using too much oil when I'm cooking beef short ribs because they are such a fatty cut of meat. So I only like to use a little bit of olive oil, which is very foreign for me, but there will be a lot of fat that will sit at the top of your ragu. I'll show you a little trick on how to remove it. Otherwise, it's going to be quite an oily or fatty ragu. So just hold back a little bit more on the olive oil than you usually would. I'm gonna add a little more onion as well. This is from one of my frozen cubes that I showed you how to prep in my previous video. It is quite watery when we're using frozen veggies. That water will go away and then we'll get a beautiful fried sofrito. For our garlic today, we are going to be using some garlic confit that I made last week. You can use regular garlic, probably 4 to 6 cloves, but because this is garlic confit and it's a lot more mellow in flavor, I'm gonna use about 20 cloves. Beautiful sizzle now, just the perfect sound for a sofrito, frozen or fresh. All of that water has evaporated. And it's like we chopped it fresh. Really cook that tomato paste off until it turns a deep, dark red. This is a step that a lot of home cooks make mistakes on, because if you don't cook that tomato paste off, it's going to be quite bitter and not flavour your ragu beautifully. Oh, it's getting hot in here. I'm going to bring that to a simmer and then it's going to go in the oven for around 3 to 4 hours on a very low heat. I'm going to pop my lamb in the oven with it as well. We're just going to do a few finishing touches to the lamb before it goes in. I've actually never cooked 2 big Dutch ovens in my oven, so I had a little freak out before and I was like, they're going to fit. But fingers crossed, I think they might fit. If not, I'm going to have to call my neighbor and pop my lamb in her oven if she's home. Fingers crossed. I usually pour in some white wine when I slow roast my lamb shoulder, but we have the chicken stock, so I'm going to use that today and it's going to make it just a little bit more nutritious. You can put some veggies like onions or garlic at the bottom of the pot while it roasts, but I'm not going to do that today because we're going to turn these into some lamb wraps, and I might do a little squeeze of lemon as well. I don't know if I'm going to get them in together. I don't know what to do. I really thought I could figure that out, but I am at a standstill. All right, we're either going to have to do one after the other, or I have to give my neighbours a call and hope that they're home and I can pop the lamb in there because this is not working. All right, I think I figured it out. I am gonna pop this one in the oven with its lid on because it's these little knobby parts that are getting in my way, and I'm gonna cover the other one with alfoil and we may have solved our problem. I got really hot and sweaty from that little issue, so I've just taken a bit of a breather, cleared my mind, and I think we have solved the problem. Because I was thinking, I can't take this to my neighbor's house. She's vegetarian. She's not gonna want to smell lamb or beef slow cooking in her home all day. Yay! Yes. Such an easy solution, yet my mind just couldn't go there because I was getting really frazzled. And I'm gonna give these a good wash because they're quite dirty. Maybe 2 more potatoes. And that's our prep work done. There is very minimal chopping getting done today. Again, I'm gonna go in with some garlic confit, but you could use regular garlic, probably 4 cloves of minced garlic. But because this is garlic confit, we double, if not triple, the amount. And I'm gonna pop that on the stove top on a gentle simmer for around 30 to 40 minutes, just until those potatoes are nice and tender and we can poke a fork through them with ease. While the soup is simmering, I'm gonna show you what I like to do with those leek tops because I don't like to waste them. We're gonna crisp them up in a pan with lots of the garlic confit oil and use them as a garnish. Now these won't freeze very well and they are gonna add a bit of a textural element to the soup, so I'm going to store them separately, not stir it through the soup, as they are just a final optional garnish. There you have it. Beautiful crispy leeks. I'm just gonna add a touch of chicken broth because I want that just to be a little bit runnier. So we're gonna leave that one to cool and then we will wrap it up in our Tupperware and stock in the freezer. Oh, the cream. Oh my God. I just realized I forgot the cream. So I'm gonna pour some cream. I was wondering why my soup was a little bit thicker than when I usually make it. It's because I didn't put the cream in, which I do at the end anyway. So lucky I remembered because it goes in now in this step. That looks so much more like my potato and leek soup. I can't believe I forgot that. I'm gonna give these a label, pop them in the freezer, do a bit of a cleanup, and then get started on our chicken soup. Yum. I like to break it up just so it defrosts a little bit quicker. Add a little turmeric. I don't usually put it in my chicken soup, but this is going to make it what people call a golden chicken soup. And turmeric is just so good for you. So especially when my friend is in a postpartum state, this soup is really going to heal her and nourish her soul, basically. I like quite a brothy chicken soup, so I'm going to add as much of this chicken broth that I can. We are going to leave that to simmer for around 30 to 40 minutes. So I'm going to pop it on my stovetop with the lid on. As I said, I like a brothy chicken soup, but if you want it a little bit more reduced, just leave the lid off when it is simmering on the stovetop. And then we're going to toss through that roasted chicken from yesterday, some peas and some fresh herbs, and we'll have a beautiful chicken soup. Oh, I had to change because I was getting so hot in my jumper. Typical Melbourne weather. It was so cold this morning and now I am dying of the heat, especially with that oven running. So excuse my outfit change. But while we have that chicken soup simmering, I am going to make some pickled red cabbage. This will go great with that slow roasted lamb because I'm envisioning slow roasted lamb wraps with tzatziki, tabbouleh and some pickled cabbage. It's also just a great gut health and immunity side to eat. So again, great for my friend who is in that postpartum stage of her life. We are going to get started on a pickling brine, which is 1 part water to 1 part vinegar, some sugar and any aromatics that you want to add in there. I'm just going to do some bay leaves and some peppercorn. You don't have to add the sugar. I know I'm talking about gut-friendly food and then I'm adding sugar, but it does make it taste a little bit nicer. So one of the last things that we have to do before we pull everything out of the oven and we take that chicken soup off the stovetop is I want to make some yogurt flatbreads. This will go great with that slow roasted lamb because you can turn it into a delicious lamb wrap with some tzatziki, tabbouleh, some of that red pickled cabbage. It's so good. I don't usually put olive oil in it, but gonna do a little touch today. And I always like to mix doughs with my hands. Just tells me so much about a dough, if it's too dry, if it's too wet, by the touch and feel. You can use a wooden spoon, but if you want to become an experienced dough maker, this is the way to do it. I can tell straight away that's too wet. And I'm going to leave that to rest just while I do a little cleanup. I'm gonna finish this soup off by tossing in that roasted chicken from yesterday. Some peas. Yum, that is absolute heaven to me. I'm gonna leave it to cool and then I'm gonna store it in some Tupperware and pop it in the freezer. Perfect. Oh, it's perfect. Falling off the bone. All right, the chicken soup is done. I am going to pack up the flatbreads and then the beef short rib ragu, and then we gotta find some way to fit this into the freezer. And I'm gonna drop half of it over to my friend, or probably a little bit more than half. I'm probably gonna drop most of it off to my friend tomorrow. Wish me luck. All right, this is everything that we have. Some is to go into the fridge, some is to go into the freezer. So we are going to pack it up now. Hello. Arnie. I'll put it in your kitchen.
Yeah. He wants it too. So good. Yum. Okay.